All right, in this movie, we're going to take our first right side of the cube and we're going to turn it into the complete orthogonal shape. And of course, we're doing so with the ultimate intention of creating this final cube of cubes. All right, the first thing we're going to do is color this side of the shape. And so if you have access to my exercise files, I've actually created a custom swatch library for you. And you can get to it by going to the swatches panel. And if you're not seeing that panel, then you can choose the swatches command from the window menu. Then drop down to this library icon in the bottom left corner and click on it. And then choose Other Library from way down here at the bottom of the pop-up menu. Then I'll go to my desktop where I've got my exercise files, and I'll go into this 28 dynamic effects folder, and I'll load this guy right here, Cube Swatches, and then click on the Open button in order to open those swatches. And if you've been following right along, you may end up opening some other swatch libraries as well. Not to worry, just go ahead and click on the folder for these 6 swatches right here, and you'll load that color group into your swatches panel, at which point you can go ahead and close those swatch libraries if you like. I'm also going to make a little more room by selecting this cold library right here and getting rid of it by pressing the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac and clicking on the trash can in the bottom right corner of the swatches panel. And by virtue of the fact you press the Alt or Option key, you bypass the alert message. All right, now, assuming that your fill is active, go ahead and click on Cube 1 in order to fill it with red. And incidentally, if you don't have access to my swatches, you can just go ahead and create your own global swatch. Very important that it's global, but it can be any color that you like. All right, now, at this point, we have something of a problem. Notice if I twirl open my cubes layer here inside the layers panel, that I've got this item that's called line, but if you look at the far left side of the control panel, it's actually a group. And it's actually groups inside groups. And to see just how many groups deep it is, press and hold the Alt key once again, or the Option key on the Mac, and click on that little arrow icon in order to twirl the whole thing open. And so this time, by virtue of the fact that you have the Alt or Option key down, you expand the entire thing instead of having to click over and over again on those arrowheads. And now the easiest way to ungroup this guy is to just grab the bottom one and drag him and drop him above the item called line. And that's just going to take it out of the group. And because it leaves all those groups empty, they disappear. All right, now we want to go ahead and rotate this guy, but we want to do so statically using the standard rotate tool, which you can get by pressing the R key. And then go ahead and press the Alt or Option key once again and click on that top left point in the shape in order to bring up the rotate dialog box. And so if we were to set the angle value to 360 degrees, then we would just rotate the shape back into its original position, which is why you want to enter /3 after that value to rotate it 1/3 the way around. And you'll be able to see the effect if you have the preview checkbox turned on, after which point go ahead and click the copy button, or you can press Alt-Enter or Option Return on the Mac. And now we want to duplicate that transformation, so just go ahead and press Control-D or Command-D for duplicate. All right, now I want to brighten up the top and right sides of this shape. And so I'll press the V key to switch back to my black arrow tool, and I'll go ahead and click on the top shape to select it. And then what you want to do, instead of clicking on this very first swatch in the far left side of the control panel, which would bring up the swatches pop-up menu, as you can see right there, in which case press the escape key to make it go away, and instead press the shift key and click on that swatch. And that will bring up this tint value right there. And you're only going to see the tint value, by the way, if you start with a global swatch, which means you need to turn on that global checkbox when you create it. All right, but having done that in advance, I'm going to reduce this tint value to 65%, which will brighten that shape, as we're seeing right there. Now go ahead and click on the right side of the cube, and then shift-click once again on that very first swatch up there in the control panel, and reduce the tint value this time to 85%. And then press the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac in order to make that change. And you'll end up with this orthogonal cube right here. And just for the sake of seeing it better, I'll go ahead and turn off the guides layer. And that is what I consider to be the most effective way to create an orthogonal cube, not by slanting a bunch of rectangles, but rather by duplicating a single straight line here inside Illustrator.